Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so that potential buyers can learn more about the business and the seller to help them make an informed buying decision. If you would like to learn more about this business, including details like what type of business it is, how much revenue and profit it makes, and all of the assets included with the business, simply visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business's listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and in the description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. So without further ado, let's get into this interview. First up, let's learn a little bit about you. Can you tell us about your background in building and running online businesses?
I started this business in the fall of 2021, and at the time, I had absolutely no experience in running any sort of business, let alone online businesses. But I had purchased a course about Amazon KDP and self-publishing, and I really wanted to try it out. And so I decided to enter this niche where I had some personal experience. So I would have been my first customer, let's say. And I knew from interacting in forums like Reddit, I had a sense of what people were looking for that they couldn't find. And so after a few failed attempts, let's say, not the first book was obviously not successful, I was able to find some products that people were willing to buy and like. And slowly, I started learning more about digital marketing and starting to create a brand around these first successful books. And this was a process that lasted about 18 months. And after that, I thought the brand was kind of good enough for me to try something else, especially because this being an entertainment niche, it was doing very well in Q4, but then I had to see a big drop in sales during January and February, and I wasn't taking that very well. So I decided to start a second brand in a niche that would do well in the opposite seasonality, let's say, that would do well in Q1 or in Q3 when my first brand was especially weak. So I did all the market research and I entered another niche, and I was able to use all the knowledge and experience that I'd accumulated during the first brand to create also a strong brand in the second niche that has occupied me mostly during the last year and a half. And the books in the first niche have kept going well. They were high quality and so were driven by Amazon reviews and the fact that the algorithm rewards books that have performed well for a consistent amount of time.
Why are you selling the business now instead of keeping it and growing it further?
This was my very first business, so I have a strong emotional attachment to it. And the decision to sell it was not an easy one, but I think it has grown to a stage where the skill set needed to make it grow even more or to keep it growing at this speed are just a little different than the skills that I've developed. And also, it requires using a lot of time in tasks that I don't enjoy doing. So I'm very happy to be engaged in the creative work, especially necessary in the beginning phase of the business. But at this stage where I have two strong brands with products that are highly serialized, it's more about coordinating freelancers and also planning for long series and having maybe hiring also people in management position to be more hands-off. And I haven't been really able to do that. And I'm still trying to keep my eyes on everything, which slows things a little down. And I think giving the business to someone whose strength or interests are more on scaling and operation then would make the business have another jump in profitability. I'm proud of the business where it is now because it's very hands off from the point of view of the maintenance. And there is some organic growth, even from books that have been selling for years and they keep selling even more. But to have the true, like explosive growth, you would probably need to scale up operation a lot. And that's not something that I'm good at or I'm willing to spend a lot of time doing or learning. I prefer to start something new, something afresh. I think it's time for me to start a new project and enjoy that creative first phase of the business all over again.
Can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business to maintain it?
The maintenance of the business is pretty straightforward. I usually check the advertising platform, the Amazon ads, about once a week, but hardly ever perform any changes because these books are very niche and the keywords are also very much on target. So the ads have a long track record of profitability. So my monitoring is mostly to see that everything is fine, that the payments to the Amazon ads platform are gone through correctly. So no campaign was stopped. And maybe in some times of high demand, like in December, you might want to adjust the budget of some campaigns that might run out of budget because of high demand. But apart from that, the work on the ads is minimal. And to maintain the business, what I also do is I still check the email addresses connected with these two brands. So the customers have the possibility to reach out to the author in case they aren't able to download the bonus material or they have some feedback. So I do check those emails and reply to them personally, but this is just because it's something that I enjoy doing, or I guess I got into the habit of doing. At the beginning, I think it was important because it gave me like a direct line with the customers, with the readers, and I could really engage with them, ask for feedback, ask for clarification, understand what they liked or what they didn't like. And I just got into the habit of doing it. I don't mind doing it, and I still do it. I log into these emails about once every 2 or 3 days, and it takes me maybe 20 to 30 minutes to reply, or even less. But this is task that can easily be outsourced at this stage of the business. So the maintenance is pretty passive because these books have a long track record of selling well. The ads have been performing some campaigns for years without me having touched them. So the maintenance is pretty minimal, I would say.
So, if you were to keep this business, what are some of the ways you would try to grow it?
While the maintenance is minimal, the part concerning growing the business, well, does require some effort. The most obvious way in which one can grow the business is to add volumes to the existing series. So this business has two very distinct brands, both of them highly recognized with products that are serialized. So meaning that people who buy the initial volumes of the series are potentially going to buy more. They're going to be repeated customers and they're usually waiting for the next volume. So one obvious way is to add volumes to this series. Of course, these new books must maintain the same standards of quality as the previous ones. And so that's something that one has to ensure. But there is a clear path forward with continuing this series because, as I said, this product is very serialized. One doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. One can use the same cover concept that is characteristic of the brand, can use the same advertising banners, the same descriptions. So the marketing is sort of like already done, and one just has to worry about how to produce content at the same level in order to continue this series. So that's the first way. a second way, which I've started to explore, and it has turned out pretty profitable, is the expansion into European markets, meaning especially Germany, France, Italy, and Spain, with some translation. Several translations have been done already into German, and just a few of them in French and Italian. And these have proven to be quite profitable, especially because this is a niche product in this smaller market. The advertising costs for those very targeted keywords are minimal. Therefore, these are highly profitable ways and pretty easy ways which one can expand. One could also use the content and upload the books on different platforms apart from Amazon. So look for an expanded distribution outside of Amazon. That's something I have not explored. And these books are not suitable for audiobooks, but they could still be repurposed into digital form. So one could create either a website that could also drive traffic to the books, or an app, or some type of online platform, as well as printable material. So there are some ways to repurpose the content and to create different types of products. And I think that would be another avenue of expansion. Moreover, some of these products, especially in one of the two brands, are very appealing visually and could benefit from some more creative type of marketing on social media platform like Pinterest, Instagram, or TikTok. And actually, one competitor had a massive success by advertising on TikTok. So one could try and replicate what this competitor has done to market these slightly different products that are in the brand, exploiting the same marketing strategy. And I think that would be an avenue for growth.
Right. And what would you say are the biggest risks with this business that buyers should be aware of?
The risks I see connected with this business are mostly the normal risks of any self-publisher on Amazon, which means, number one, the possibility of changes in the algorithm. And so it's possible that a book might lose its ranking, its position because of some changes in the algorithm. It hasn't really happened to me so far, but you can tell, you can foresee the future. But what I would see as like the biggest risk is probably with the advent of AI and the growth of AI, the market is becoming more competitive because the barrier of entry is lower. And so one has new competition coming in of AI generated content. And it's just easier to produce books that look more legitimate. And one way to mitigate this risk is with branding. And therefore, I feel like this business is pretty resilient because even though new competitors have come out during the past years, these books still have continued to sell, and sometimes they even increased their market share or their absolute sales, even when new competitions was coming in and even without new volumes being published. In my first brand, only 2 new books were published in the last year, and still the brand is as profitable as ever. So the risks are the risk of the competition, the risk of being tied to Amazon that the buyer of the business could mitigate also by repurposing this content and, try to find distribution for these books outside of Amazon.
How much support are you willing to offer the buyer who acquires this business?
I'm willing to assist the buyer for 45 days and to explain all the details about the operation of the business and the way the books are produced and guide them through all the digital assets that I'm offering with the business, which include also a series of videos that can be used to train freelancers and guide them in the book production. As I said, this is these are books that are highly serialized. So a freelancer that is properly trained can potentially produce several of these books. Yes, so I'm willing to offer this support because I really believe that a person that is focused on scaling an operation can really take this business to the next level.
Are you open to negotiating something like an earnout agreement?
I'm not open to an earnout payment structure because I'm looking for a clean exit after the 45 days of support that I offer to the new buyer. I can fully focus on new projects.
Okay, final question. If you had to put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why is your business a business worth buying?
I think this is a business well worth buying for several reasons. Number one, it is well diversified. It has 2 different brands that cater to different audiences who perform well at different times of the year, with one brand especially well in Q1 and Q3, and the other one in Q2 and Q4, so that the business is profitable all year round. And the risk is very diversified because you have a big portfolio of books that are spread on 2 different brands. Now, the business is very passive, very little work is required to maintain the current level. And this is a great investment opportunity because even books published in 2022 or 2023 are still selling without any changes made to them or to the advertising material or the Amazon ads campaign. They're still selling them, driven by good reviews and the push of the algorithm that rewards consistent sales over time. And they're selling actually better than they were doing years ago. So this is a great portfolio of books for this reason and nice investment opportunity. But it's also something that can be easily taken to the next level in case the buyer is set on scaling the business. And there is a clear path forward for that because both brands are highly serialized, meaning that people who buy a volume in a series usually go on buying all the other volumes in the series. So this is a reason why this business can be pushed much further, can be taken much further. Overall, to summarize, I think this is a great business because of its proven resilience over time, with the top-selling books having been around for years and not slowing down, as well as diversified risk and 2 strong brands under which the buyer of this business could still publish and expand in a natural way the portfolio and take the business to the next level.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this business is still for sale, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll find everything you need to know about this business. So, thanks for joining us. See you next time.